Hi everyone, so I'm Benoît Marais from Department of Microbiology and Immunology, and today my talk will be on zoonotic malaria risk in Southeast Asia. So first, just one definition for today. What is zoonosis? So zoonosis is an animal disease, can be transmitted to human. Okay, so first, just because Kevin show you some map of the human malaria. So this one is just to show you that currently Plasmodium falciparum and Plasmodium vivax are the two main species can infect human. They are present in South America, in Africa, in Southeast Asia, but you can see that Plasmodium vivax is not so present in Africa. So this one is just to give you an idea where we can find human malaria. If I switch to the same map for monkey malaria, we have also presence of the monkey malaria in South America, and already demonstrate that you have transmission of this parasite in human. In Africa, for the moment, it's not really clear if you have like currently zoonotic infection of malaria, but it's something that our colleagues try to monitor. And for today, I will focus only on Southeast Asia. And you can see that at least two species are already present in this region of the world and can be transmitted to human. So these different species share a kind of some profile on the slide. So you can see, for example, vivax, human parasite, is very similar to Plasmodium cynomolgi or Plasmodium simium, and in terms of life cycle. So how often the parasite can multiply in the blood. And you have the same thing with Plasmodium malariae and Plasmodium brasilianum. These parasites are a bit slower and need 72 hours to develop. When you look at the blood smear to see the morphology of the parasite, some of these parasites share the same morphology and are kind of close species. And I will develop that a bit more about malaria later on. So in Asia, we have currently 8 species of Asian monkeys. And these 8 species can be infected by 7 different species of malaria parasites. For today, no worries, I will focus only on the 2 top ones, Plasmodium knowlesi and Plasmodium cynomolgi. So when you study zoonosis infection, you need to be aware where you can find the different reservoirs for the disease. So this one is to show you for the 3 main macaque species in Southeast Asia, that the rhesus is present only in the north part of India and in part of China, when the 2 other ones, Macaca nemestrina and Macaca fascicularis, are present in the peninsula of Southeast Asia. And this one particularly is very important because it's one of the reservoirs on majority of the monkey malaria parasites. So I will focus now only on Plasmodium knowlesi. So interestingly, Plasmodium knowlesi was first isolated in 1931 from a cynomolgus macaque imported from Singapore. So at that time, Singapore was not free of malaria and full of monkey malaria. So I was talking about the morphology of the parasite because it's important to know that majority of the diagnostic for malaria infection is based on the blood smear. And you can see if you focus only on these 2 images, so this one for Plasmodium knowlesi and this one for Plasmodium malariae, the common thing between these 2 species, they have a band shape for the trophozoite stage. So if you are not aware that you can find this monkey species in a patient, you can do misdiagnostic and identify this parasite as a Plasmodium malariae, and I will come back on this point just after. So another important thing is important to know when you change the parasite from the host, you could have different effects on the severity of the disease. And a good example, if you inject Plasmodium knowlesi in a rhesus monkeys, so monkeys present in India and in China, you have a very severe disease. So it's what could happen when you have a zoonotic infection and we jump from a nose to another one. So we know that Plasmodium knowlesi could be quite severe during human infection. So Plasmodium knowlesi. So you have different spots of infection. You can see on this map with the triangle, the blue triangle in Southeast Asia. This one matching with the simian reservoir because the macaque fascicularis are present in all of this part of Southeast Asia, and also match with the presence of the vector. So it's always important to know when you have this kind of infection, it's a triangle. You have the vector, you have the human host, and you have the monkey host. So in the forest transmission, you have not so much contact between human and monkeys. So majority of infections are between the mosquito and the monkeys. When you start to have deforestation, people working more and more deeply in the forest, you increase the contact between human and monkeys, you change the behavior of the mosquito. And so mosquito were before going only on the monkeys can get that blood meal also on human, and you increase the risk of zoonotic transmission. I don't have so much time today to talk about the vector, but you have a lot of different mosquito species involved in the transmission of these different malaria parasites. So this one is just to give you an example of the reservoir for Plasmodium knowlesi. So we know that Macaca fasciculata, the long-tailed macaque, is present everywhere and is a good reservoir. But for example, in Malaysia, we know also that Macaca menestrina could be also a reservoir. If you go in other parts of Southeast Asia, in Myanmar, it's another species of monkeys, and something in Malaysia. So it's very important to monitor the different reservoirs to see where a new outbreak of zoonotic infection could happen. So this map is to show you the status in terms of malaria elimination of Southeast Asia. So you can see on this map that Singapore, that is present here, is malaria-free. Kevin mentioned that since 1982, but Malaysia is also malaria-free. So interestingly, if you look the same map in terms of Plasmodium knowlesi cases, you can see you have a huge hotspot of infection of knowlesi in Malaysia. So why Malaysia is still considering as malaria-free? Because this malaria infection is just a zoonotic infection. So malaria still, we don't have so much cases of human malaria in Malaysia for the moment. So this one is just to show you the number. And you have more and more cases in Vietnam, Thailand, Myanmar, and in Indonesia. If you look at the number of cases between 2001 and 2016 in Malaysia, you can see that Malaysia is doing a very good job in terms of eradication of malaria, and the total number of cases is going down and down. But I just want to highlight since 2008, you can see in orange, the number of knowlesi cases just going up and up. And now, majority of the malaria cases in Malaysia are due to knowlesi. If you remember the slide when I was showing you the morphology of the trophozoite between knowlesi and malaria, it was a lot of mixed diagnostic before this date. So majority of the PM Plasmodium malaria cases before 2008 were more knowlesi cases. So this zoonotic outbreak in Malaysia was starting much earlier before 2008. So this map is just to show you the risk of zoonotic for Plasmodium knowlesi in Southeast Asia. So you can see we have big spots in Borneo, but also in west part of Malaysian Peninsula, in Vietnam, in north part of Myanmar, and also at the Thai-Burmese border. So our colleague from Wellcome Trust monitor closely the number of hypothetic knowlesi cases that you can find in this part of Southeast Asia, just to be sure that this infection can stay only at the zoonotic stage, because for the moment, nobody was able to identify any transmission between human to human of Plasmodium knowlesi. So now I just want to move quickly on one another species, Plasmodium cynomolgi. So Plasmodium cynomolgi is another monkey malaria species. And just recently in 2014, it was identified the first case of natural acquisition of infection of Plasmodium cynomolgi. As you can see on this map, you have overlap for cynomolgi infection and knowlesi infection. And of course, both parasites share the same vectors and share common reservoirs. So we are expecting to have a spread of this zoonotic infection due to cynomolgi in the rest of Southeast Asia. We don't know when exactly. And Pablo Bifani will talk about a bit more about this parasite and the different conditions to be able to maintain in culture. So I will not talk so much about this one. So now just to focus on Singapore. So Singapore, it's a nice city, very modern city, but Singapore, it's also a place with monkeys. So we can find monkeys not almost everywhere, but usually close to the different reserves in Singapore. And so what could happen in Singapore in terms of monkey malaria? So our colleague from NEA just published this year a very nice paper. So where they were able to identify the number of infected monkeys in Singapore. And so if you can see on this map, this one is where they were able to sampling the peridomestic monkeys. All of them were negative for monkey malaria. But the ones they were able to sample in the wild monkeys, majority of them were infected. Main infection, Plasmodium knowlesi, Plasmodium cynomolgi, and you know that both infection could will develop zoonotic infection. You could have also multi-infection. It's quite common in the monkey to have multi-infection. These monkeys are a natural host for the parasite. So when they are not so very sick, so they can carry a lot of parasite and don't change so much their routine. When it's very different in human, because for example, Plasmodium knowlesi, you can reach like almost 20% of parasitemia. So 20% of your red blood cell can be infected because the parasite can grow in 24 hours. So the parasitemia can go very high. So yes, so this one is the data from our colleagues from NEA. And they are doing a very close surveillance of the number of monkey infection in Singapore. And you can see on this graph, since 2009, we have a trend with an increase of the prevalence of monkey parasite in Singapore. And particularly, you can see Plasmodium inui, that I didn't mention for the moment, is the one that's starting to be the dominant strain. We know from all work that for the moment, no one is able to see any infection of human red blood cells with this parasite. But due to the evolution, we don't know when could be the next jump of this parasite to a new species, and the new species could be a human species. So thank you for your attention.